So I'm just going to go through these really quickly. I don't want to belabor any of these points, but there's some great resources available that spell out what our supply chains are here in Alaska, a little bit different than some other regions. So this is Western Regional Aquaculture Center, put this together, just published very recently. So these are handouts available for folks that are trying to understand sort of the structure of the distribution. Andy showed this, and we talked about VITZAB. At the same time, I was actually part of this team that was looking at the supply chain and those nightmare scenarios that can happen on loading bays at airports. So we measured Vibrio temperatures, or measured Vibrio amount, and then modeled that through the supply chain based on predictive models for the temperature at each of these points in the various supply chains. And I have another graphic here. So some of you may have seen this before. I have shown it actually at this mariculture conference in the past, a couple of years ago, but we took internal temperatures of oysters after all this distribution. So you can see we've got a real hub in Washington and where those are going, California, where those oysters are going. We measured these across all these different sites, and I will say that the worst temperature abuse happened in international shipping. So it's actually not shown on this. Oh, I guess we do have Hong Kong on this. So unfortunately, in the cases that we looked at, literally packages of oysters were left on the tarmac for too long. So Alaska Airlines has some great ways to keep things in temperature control, but once it's being transferred from one plane to another and it's already on the tarmac, that's where you lose complete control of it. And that is where the worst temperature abuse happened in our study. So anyway, that information is out there. It has been looked at. Ben shared all these resources with me. We printed some of them for you. Some of you, if we talked about, are already working with Alaska Air Cargo. Zone maps, tells you where they can ship directly. They have specific rates for shipping shellfish, which, as somebody mentioned, they're quite accustomed to shipping other seafood products. One thing that Ben mentioned to me is people will come to him and ask, oh, can we do like a bulk discount? I'm going to be shipping so much through Alaska Air Cargo. That's not something that they do. So these are the rates that they have. I will also mention I printed a rate sheet that's available, and then he sent me an updated one just yesterday. They just came out with new rates. So some other tips that Ben offered up is that packaging is key to success, and so that's obviously across any air shipment or even box transport that's not going on air transport. Make sure that oysters are packaged securely to withstand a maximum of 48 hours without refrigeration. That's what Ben has recommended. But really know the specifics of the destination. I was hoping to put together sort of they have on the Alaska Air Cargo has on their website, you can look at what's available at each different location. Like I have a place in Gustavus, tiny little town outside Juneau, and we have Alaska service in the summer only, but they don't, they'll receive things, but they don't ship out from there for Alaska Air Cargo. But they don't have any, of course, refrigeration, any temperature control once you're there. So each location has different specifications, different hours that they operate. So you really have to know your local site and what that is, and those are available on their website. Know your tender time as well as the origin station hours. That's specific for them. 4 hours is a minimum for drop-off before that pre-flight. Double check with the acceptance, the customer support agent, that the consignee email is listed for the delivery ready notice. So this is really getting to, does the person you're shipping it to know that it's coming? And I think general good practice, as you guys talked about, is you're going to talk to that customer anywhere. You're not going to rely on the tools that Seaplanes has for destination pickup. You're really going to be talking to those customers and make sure that they're picking up in a timely manner and that they know that their product is arrived. Another thing Ben talked about was having an invoice before you ship your product, because if you do get into a situation where it's been temperature abuse, it's been lost, something happened to it, if you have an invoice, then they can give you declared value. And it's not just you saying what your declared value is, it is that you have an invoice of somebody purchasing it on the other side, even if they haven't paid you yet, of course, but you have that paper trail so that he's able to reimburse you if there's a loss. And we already spoke to this, so talk to Ben directly if you're interested in working with Alaska Airlines Air Cargo.